So Mr. Strecco had 3, 6, and wanted to make a triangle with them. They were lengths of 3, 7, and 5 inches. Would she be able to build a right triangle? First, yes or no?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you think no. Raise your hand if you think yes. Oh, a couple people say yes. What's your proof that it's yes? Okay, so you're saying 3 plus 5 is greater than 7. And while that is true, it will make a triangle. That's not what she wanted. It should have been a right triangle. So while, yes, they will build a triangle, that was not the question. So somebody, since the rest of you said no and it wouldn't, what would be my proof as to why they don't? What would I write, guys?
3 squared plus 5 squared is 9.
Because, and also, did y'all notice that I put the big one inside instead of at the end?
Tricky.
That's right, because you're right. If it was going to be 3 and 5, it would have to be a 3, 4, 5. Okay, but if you plug in the calculator, 3 squared plus 5 squared, it does not equal 7. So the answer is no. They would not. All right, guys. Today we're actually going to start solving for the hypotenuse. Okay. All right. On your paper, please sketch a triangle over here on the right-hand side. You don't have that. Okay? And I just want to make sure that we all know our labels. So first, the right angle should be there. If it's not, it should be obvious. Okay? Like in this case, it was obvious. And if that's my right angle, then what are these? These are the legs. So this would be A and B. And then that makes that one C. Okay? It's always going to be opposite from the right angle, right? They are not going to tell you most of the time which ones are A and B and C. You have to figure it out based on your knowledge of right triangles that we learned last week. Okay? There we go. Given a right triangle, if the side A equals 4 and B equals 8, what is the measurement of C rounded to the nearest hundredth? Okay? So again, they're saying this is 4, this is 8. Does it matter if I put 8 up here and 4 down here? No. And we're looking for the measurement of C rounded to the nearest hundredth. So that tells you that it's going to be a non-perfect square, correct? Okay, so let's do it. Step 1. Determine whether you are missing the short side or the long side. So in this case, we're missing the long side. And a better word for the long side would be the hypotenuse. Good job. Substitute in the formula, guys. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. We learned that last week, and it's on the math chart. You should never, ever not remember it. So A squared, we're going to put 4 squared. B was 8 squared equals C squared. Guys, please always plug it into the formula exactly how it looks. Now, can we pick up our calculator? Sure. 4 squared, I don't need that. 4 squared is what? 16. 8 squared is 64 equals C squared. And now, I'm sorry, 16 plus 64 is 80. 80 equals C squared. Now we have a problem. To undo a square, because I don't want C squared, I want C. To undo a square, use a square root. Good. If you've forgotten how to do that, if you look on top of the square key in yellow on your calculator, it's the square root button. Remember, to get to any of the yellow stuff, you press Control and then that. So you're going to square root 80 square root C squared. This is me showing all my work. So the square root of C squared is just C, right? But now square root of 80, what'd you get? 80.9427. But they told me to round to the nearest hundredth, so what are we going to put? 8.94. Okay? That is a classic place where people miss points, is not rounding to the correct place, so make sure you always circle it, highlight it, underline it, something, okay? All right, let's try that. Do y'all want to try these on your own, or with me? Okay, let's try it on your own. Okay, so on number 1, notice the work, all right? I first wrote my formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Second, substitute. Y'all remember that from last year, FSS, formula, substitute, solve, okay? Now, right here, I didn't separate it, I just went ahead and combined it. I typed 14 squared plus 13 squared equals 365, but I went ahead and wrote that down instead of just doing it all in one step. Then I found the square root of 19.1. Notice I circled it to the nearest 10. Did y'all see that this time? Be careful. Okay, and then the same thing on number 2, I got 67.3. How would you do? 45 plus 50, 45 squared plus 50 squared was 45.5, so we have. And then the square root 67.2681, but 0.268, if I'm rounding to the nearest 10, that 6 makes that 2 do what? Okay. Okay, are we good so far? Are we good so far? Okay. Now I want to know whether or not that they're going to represent a right triangle. So, is this similar to the warm-up?
Yes.
Yes, in my calculator, first of all, they told me what the C was, but what if they didn't? How do you know which one is the C? It has to be the biggest. Okay, so what I mean is if they had said 25, 14, and 7 here, instead of telling you that that was the C, it still would be 14 and 7 are your A and B, and C is 25, okay? So let's go ahead and just go through the first one. 3 squared, we know it without even doing it, don't we? Because if it's 3 and 4, it has to be 5, so we know that that one's not true. But let's do the next one, I don't know that one. So 20 squared plus 21 squared equals 29 squared, enter. What does it say? True. Okay, go ahead and do the next 2. Number 3.
Absolutely not.
False. No.
Absolutely not.
How about number 4? It was also true. Okay? So that's pretty easy. These are called triples, by the way. If somebody's talked about Pythagorean theorem triples, it just means being able to look at any given 3 numbers and deciding does it make a right triangle or not. Okay? We're gonna have questions. Pretty easy, right? Okay, go ahead and skip all the way to the back page. Around the room, I have a map list. Y'all done these before. Skip all the way to the back page. Okay? I gave you the paragraph and the first period. Okay, so we need to get a seating chart for this class. There is a paragraph, there's workspace, okay? There are 2 sets of them, 9 questions around the room, okay? When you're done, you can go back to your seat and then you can start your homework, which was the page that we just missed, okay? I think you should be able to finish all of it, honestly, by the end of class, okay? But if you have any questions, let me know.